In this tutorial, we will be discussing about how to generate research objectives in the course of conducting a research project. And here, as you look, I have research topic and determinants of the performance of micro and small enterprises. The case of you can take you given administrative unit. It can be a region, it can be a city, or it can be any location. Okay, and this title can be written in another form. Factors affecting the performance of micro and a small enterprise. The case of same thing. And given this research topic, the question that follows is how you can frame, how you can generate objectives for this research topic. And the research objective comes after statement of the problem is written. Background of the study written, and then statement of the problem written, then research objectives follow. And I have videos on how to write a background of the study given this research topic. You can find in my YouTube channel how to write background of the study provided this particular research topic, how to write a statement of the problem given that this particular research topic. In this video, it is just an exclusive video on how to generate a research objective for this particular research topic. And to proceed to the subject, let us discuss in the first place what is the research objective, before we demonstrate how we can generate a research objective from this particular topic. Let us understand what is research objective in the first place. And research objective is an outcome that the researcher aims to achieve through a research. When one is conducting a research, there is something that he or she wants to achieve at the end of the day. There is an outcome that he or she wants to arrive on. And it is that outcome, that end of the research, that is termed as a research objective. Therefore, the research objective is what a researcher aims to achieve by conducting research. The very rationale behind a particular research is its objective. The research objective describes what the research project intends to accomplish. It is a description of what the research project intends to accomplish, intends to achieve. And once research objective is generated, research objective is generated, the rest of the research operation, the rest of the research activities are guided by the research objectives. It is a research objective that guides the review of related literature. It is the research objective that determines what research design to use. Is it an experimental research design, descriptive research design, explanatory research design, exploratory research design, quasi-experimental research design? Which design to use, which research design to use, depends on the objectives of the study. The approach of the study too, whether the research will be qualitative or quantitative, depends upon the nature of the objective. The nature of the data too depends upon the objective. The data analysis, the data analysis techniques And before data analysis, even the data collection. All this depends upon the nature of the research objective is held in a particular research topic. And there are basically two types of objectives in a research project: general objective and specific objectives. Okay, this is general objective is a single statement, not therefore general objective and the specific objectives. Provided the topic, okay, the topic we have seen the determinants of the performance of micro and small enterprises, or the factors affecting the performance of micro and small enterprises. Given that topic, how the general objective can be written. Okay, we will see in practical terms how to generate the general objective from the topic, but let us first understand what general objective is all about. General objective is a statement that communicates the overall goal of a research or a study project in a single sentences. Okay, it is a statement that tells the overall goal of the research or the study project in a single sentences. It is a statement. The general objective of the study states what the researcher expects to achieve in general terms. Okay, it is a generic expression, a holistic expression in a single statement about what is to be met at the end of the study. The objective, basically, okay, whether it is general objective or a specific objective, the objectives in a study should be stated using action verbs. Okay, action verbs that are specific enough to be measured or evaluated. For example, to assess, to determine, to describe, to examine, to investigate. Okay, when we state either general objective or specific objectives, we should use action verb. Action verb is that denotes at the end of the study, the results can be measured, can be counted, can be evaluated. Okay, therefore the verbs that we use to express the objectives should be in terms of action verbs. And while you write objectives of the study, whether a specific objective or a general objective, avoid the use of vague non-active verbs. Non-action verbs are not recommendable while stating research objectives, whether general or specific objectives, like to appreciate, to understand, to believe, to study, because those expressions are difficult to evaluate at the end. Okay, whether they are achieved or not, it is ambiguous to evaluate, to measure. Therefore, while stating general objective or specific objective, what needs to be taken into mind very carefully is that the statements of the objectives should be in action verbs. Therefore, the general objective of the study should be written in a single statement to tell the readers of the research what in generic terms that the research would achieve. And to write the specific objective, the general objective, the researcher has to adjust an action before the research topic. Okay, this means, in other words, the general objective is just the direct copy of the topic itself. Okay, you can go back and see our topic. Our topic here is determinants of the performance of micro and small enterprises, the case of given region or city, or it can be expressed in another form, which is factors affecting the performance of micro and small enterprises, the case of a given city or region, and to state general objective for this study, for this topic. Okay, just state action verb before this topic. For example, you can see here. Okay, to write the general objective, the researcher has to add just an action verb before the research topic. An action verb. Okay, verb. Okay. In our example, we can write the general objective to examine factors affecting the performance of micro and small enterprises, the case of given city or region, or to examine the determinants of the performance of micro and small enterprises, to investigate, okay, to determine, and you can use appropriate verbs, okay, other appropriate verbs you can use. This is how we can generate, general objective from the topic, and the topic, the general objective is a direct copy. The direct copy of the topic, except we add action verb before the topic itself. Okay, provided the general objective of the study, we then generate specific objectives. Okay, the general objective is a direct copy of the topic itself, and the specific objectives are the sub-objectives. Okay, a subtopic is within the topic, or the sub-objectives from the general objective. Look, the hierarchy is there is a topic and there is a general objective, which is the topic itself, except the fact that we add action verb before the topic. And on the third step, there is a general objective, there is a specific objective. There are specific objectives, and the specific objectives are the details of the general objective. Okay, therefore specific objectives should be emanated at the branches of the general objective. Okay, we break down the general objective into separate objectives, into separate yet interrelated. Okay, we break down the general objective into specific objectives. This objectives describe in detail what will be achieved during the study. Okay, in detail what will be achieved. Okay, and a given general objective can be broken down into 2, 3, or 4, depending on the pervasiveness or narrowness of the general objective. And the requirement is that the characteristics of a good research is that its general objective should not be wide beyond the controllable scope, or it should not be narrow to the extent that it cannot be broken down into separate objectives. Therefore, balance should be there. Okay, and the conventional implicit understanding is that for master's research, at least 3 specific objectives should be generated from the general objective. It can be 4, it can be 5, okay, and it should not be greater than 5, okay, between 3 and 5. If the specific objectives are becoming now, for example, if you have 5 or 6 specific objectives, then or 7 specific objectives, then the research will go beyond your control, and because you have a specific time or resource to manage your study, it emerges to be very difficult sometimes. Therefore, one has to have a reasonable number of specific objectives. These specific objectives describe what in detail will be achieved during the study, as we have said. And the first step to write specific objectives is to pinpoint the major focus of the research project. Once you have the general objective and the topic, then the topic can be, or the general objective can be broken down into into many focuses, but as a researcher, one should focus on the major, one should emphasize only the major element that he wants to study, given the research topic or given the general objective. Okay, just focus on at least three, or at most 5. Okay, major elements, major aspects of the general objective. Okay. In our example, we can generate the following specific objectives as follows, because our study is about the determinants of the performance of micro and small enterprises. Then, without examining or without describing the business operation of the micro and the small enterprises, we cannot simply arrive at studying determinants of the performance of micro enterprise. Therefore, what we have to do is that we have to first describe the business operation of the micro enterprises. For example, how many of the enterprises we survey are micro, how many of them are small enterprises, their initial capital, their current capital, the type of products or the type of service they are rendering, the annual income, and the employment creation, the number of employees that they have. We can characterize the business operation of micro and small enterprises under our study. Okay, we study the background of the business operation of the micro and the small enterprises. We can study their production scale, or we can study the service scope of the enterprises. Okay, we can describe their business operation from many aspects. Okay, we can evaluate their business operation from many aspects. Then, because our focus is on the performance, we can also study their performance exclusively in an independent, in a separate specific objective. Then we can focus on the net annual profit and sales volume. Okay, there are multitude of indicators that we can use to measure the performance of micro and small enterprise. Then we can identify 5 or 3 or 2 indicators of the performance of micro and small enterprises, and then examine them. Okay, collect data, and then present the result in this case. Okay, from different point of views. And then finally, once we characterize it, once we describe the business operation of the enterprise, and once we studied the performance, then we can study the relationship between the performance of the micro and the small enterprises and associated factors. Okay, okay, we can take, for example, the relationship between the internal factors and external factors. Okay, how the internal and external factors influence the performance of micro and small enterprise. For example, we can take annual income, estimated annual income of the micro and small enterprises as dependent variable, as an indicator of the performance of micro and small enterprise, and then study how, or examine how the initial capital influences the performance of the micro and small enterprises in terms of estimated annual income. How size of the enterprise, whether it is the status of being micro and small enterprises, influence its performance. We can also take enterprises access to credit, whether the enterprise have access to credit or not, whether that access to credit determines or influences the performance of the enterprise itself, whether the number of employees, whether the ownership modality, for example, whether it is part of a micro and small enterprises partnership, sole proprietorship, whether it is ownership modality influences its performance, whether, for example, the working premises, the shed, okay, in which it works is rented or provided by the government or private owned, okay, influences the performance of an enterprise. Whether access to infrastructural service influences or influence positively or negatively influences performance of the enterprises. Therefore, we take the performance on one hand, and then independent variables, okay, that can be financial, non-financial, internal or external, and study how they influence the performance of the enterprises. So when we set the specific objectives, we have to make sure that the specific objectives we are setting are smart enough. And when we say smart, S stands for specific, M stands for measurable, A stands for attainable, and R stands for realistic, and T stands for time bound. Okay, therefore, our specific objectives should be specific enough. They should focus. The focus should be specified. Okay, on what variables. Okay, the variables that the study covers includes should be specific enough, so that we have, since we have the money or the time resource that we have, okay, the financial and the time allocated for our study cannot complete the study within a reasonable time and within a reasonable financial resource. And the specific objectives should be measurable, in a sense. The results that we obtain in the course of conducting the study can be measured, can be specified, that the study was designed to achieve this, and the result, considering the result, the study achieved its objectives or not. Okay, we can at the end evaluate. Okay, the objectives should be evaluative enough, can be gauged, and attainable. Okay, the study should be attainable within time and finance allocated. And realistic means there should be a clarity of how to achieve the objectives. Okay, there should not be ambiguity. The objectives should not be something unrealistic and cannot be achieved. Okay, and time bound. And each specific objective, when we are setting the objective, we have to make sure that the time allocated for our study, and the specific objective we are setting in the course of the study are going together. Okay, if the study is a 1 year project, okay, if the research is a 1 year project, then the specific objectives we are setting should be in that way, okay, on that scale, on that time scale. And this is all about how we can set a general objective and a specific objective, how to generate a specific and a general objective from this particular research topic. And the next video we will be proceeding to how to generate research objective, research questions, and how we set research design and research approach, sample size, data analysis techniques for this particular topic. For today, if you have question or any unclear idea, then feel free to write in the comment section, and I will be responding, and we continue to learn from each other. Thank you very much.